Hey there, welcome to this virtual tour of Moxie. She was professionally built in 1982 and the owners lived continuously on her for 40 years, taking care of her. I think the cutter-rigged Ingrid is one of the greatest cruising boat designs ever made. And when I saw this boat 2 years ago and how well she was made, I jumped at the opportunity to purchase her. Since then, I've spent a couple of hundred hours refitting her and was only able to take her out for one afternoon sail, as you can see in these photos here, until we had engine problems and had to haul her back out again. We've now fixed that problem since I've installed a rebuilt Yanmar 3-cylinder. She is stored on the Hard in San Carlos, Mexico, about 300 miles south of Tucson, Arizona. Under the sun cover, you'll see all bronze hardware and new all-grip paint job on the hull. Under the large solar panel, you'll see an Aries wind vane. A big full keel here leading up to the front where you have a tilting, very unique tilting double anchor roller on the bow. Starting our bow tour here, gorgeous teak hatch, very rare Plath #1 anchor windlass. It's all manual and you grind it like a coffee grinder. It's really cool. All solid teak and bronze bow pulpit. Underneath that is a probably spruce or fir bowsprit, freshly varnished and in excellent condition. There's a deck prism that leads light into the head, the forward head down below, and then there's a secret door here that holds a winch handle, random lines, and a big water hose for putting out your buddy's boat when it's on fire. This hatch here is a work of art. So heavy, so well made, just a tease of how the rest of the boat has been built. Working our way down the big wide side decks, you have exterior chain plates, all bronze hardware for the port lights, and bronze paneling over top of epoxy marine ply construction. There's the teak traveler. There used to be a life raft on a little pad there, but it was expired, so I threw it away. This mast, I've dropped it, done all minor repairs, and then had it sprayed down there with a 2-part epoxy because I wouldn't be there to varnish it. The only thing left to varnish there is the boom. Spruce boom there still needs somebody to varnish, but you gotta have something to do when you're out there. No extraneous hardware up there. I took down the radar dome and the spreader lights, and it's just a simple boat. Here's a shot of the mast on the ground before it went back up. It has a white upper tip on it. There's my wife helping me put it up. We hired a local crane for $50 to put it up. Bronze Dorade vents there, gorgeous. And the boat is it's kind of partially covered here. You can see I have the sun cover on the boom, a bit wrapped up in the bow pulpit. You couldn't see it. These are brand new cushions I just had made. They're velvet on one side and burgundy Sombrella fabric on the other side. And huge cockpit. It's about 7 feet long. And the Dodger is currently off. It has a white Dodger, and the glass, the isinglass on it's in very good condition. Uh, this is the stern, looking back at the Aries. Here's the conduit for the solar panel. It's 390 watts, installed in 2009. Underneath the tiller is a box that holds some pretty cool things. On the very bottom level, there's a 1,000-watt Honda generator. On the mid-level here, you'll see a spare propane tank, a grappling hook, snorkeling gear, washdown bucket, and then uniquely, the cockpit seat opens up into a refrigerator basin. So this is the ice box. I just put a box of ice in it and go cruising for a week, or you can install a cold plate in it. The last one died, so it doesn't have anything in it. There's the manual bilge pump. There's the single lever for the engine, and a couple of cockpit drains, jackline, tether, and compass. Swing out arm here for a chart plotter. This is a brand new LG tablet. It uses the GPS because it has built-in cell service. You don't pay anything for it. It's just an avionics app, and it's absolutely perfect for the Sea Cortez. This is the Yanmar engine control put in. So 2,800 hours on the Yanmar, but only 150 hours since it was rebuilt professionally in the Seattle area. The cockpit has 5 Variant bronze winches. 2 of them are self-tailing for the jib, 2 for the staysail, and 1 for the main sheet on top of the starboard side cabin top. The lady that cruised this boat left detailed instructions on how to take care of the teak, and that is slathering it in Seafin's teak oil. Here we are looking forward, down below, looking aft, and the chart table here on the port side hides a quarter berth behind that seat, but she turned it into a garage. Here's our control panel, very simple, robust, it works. Here are some more controls, the solar charge controller, wind, knot meter, and looking behind the seat here you see what is now the garage instead of a quarter berth. It would be tight for a quarter berth, but possible for a small enough kid. There's the shore power, and then the painting of the whale up there is the wind vane for the wind vane. There are 2 brand new golf cart batteries, total of 6 throughout the boat. Here's one of Moxie's logs heading from Hawaii to Kodiak, Alaska. And highlighted there are a couple of 200-mile runs over 24 hours. And it looks like she had 2 reefs in the main, close hauled with a jib and staysail out. Really fun to see this boat's performance recorded in time here. All the plans are included with the boat that it was built with, including an independent marine survey that serves as like a baby book. Has all the photos of the build process. The surveyor interviewed the builder and has multiple compression tests from laboratories in Seattle testing the construction, and it couldn't have been built any better or more professional than this. That was the depth sounder that swings into the port light there so you can see it. The steps remove easily for you to get down into that engine compartment. And there it is with the steps in place but the door open. You can see the engine tucked in there, and then the whole shebang comes out like this, and you can get really close if you have to do some serious work on the engine. So I just put that engine in with the help of some professionals in Guaymas. We had the engine mount welded up there on site, and she runs beautifully. There's some electrical management options, an inverter should you need to run 120 offshore. And there's the shore power circuit board, and then here on the starboard side we can go into the engine room. We kind of crawl in, hands and knees. You have storage on the wall to the left there. That crack right there is superficial. It just is a thin layer over a bunch of insulation because the whole hull is completely insulated with like 2 inches of closed cell foam. So coming from the big red hose there is the bronze seawater strainer. And here's some organized electronics for the autopilot and what used to be a Raymarine chart plotter, but it was missing when I got the boat, so I put in the tech. Outside, we're back here to the EPIRB, the shore power circuit panel, and the chart plotter. Just touch screen. It's wireless. Runs on battery for quite a few days, or you can just keep it plugged in forever. I like to exercise it though. Comes with its own embroidered visor there that says Moxie. That's pretty cool. And this closet here holds all of my lubricants and spray paints and lots of doodads. In this pocket here I usually keep a refrigerator cooler. It takes about 50 amp hours a day. So on a 24-hour timer, I just run it when the solar panel's up in the daytime, and I don't run it at night. And it's perfectly happy. Very little energy consumption for a fridge. I've been happy with it. There's a liquor cabinet slash wine cabinet here. Tequila is included with the boat. So we're behind the settee here. Another bookcase. The Anchor red box there is a wireless portable Bluetooth speaker that I use as the sound system, both inside and out of the boat. Really nice, well done hatches here, all around the settee, which is in lounge mode right here. This is like a really big bed. It's about a full-size bed, but a little bit longer too. It's about 7 feet long. Here you get a glimpse of the insulated hull. A lot of the lockers are full of practical, useful gear. There's nothing on the boat I would throw away at this point. I've gotten rid of all the junk that someone would want to go cruising with right now. And here it is with the table up, wine bottle for scale. It's a really big table, and about the only thing that's varnished on the boat, I think. Underneath the chart table, there's a big lockable cabinet right here. It's really deep. It has like the sextant in it and a few random things. And then this is a really nice full file cabinet full of all the documents on the boat. Underneath one of the steps is a cute little hatch for fiddly bits for sailing. Another hatch for winches, another hatch for shore power connections. And coming up here, there's a flip out countertop beside the galley sink. Big double deep sink that's perfect. There's a bronze manual pump there for seawater. A really nice slick trash can that pops in and out. A macerator here you can throw your hip into and grind veggies down the sink. Propane stove there is really new. It's so new that the plumbing hasn't been run for the propane. And underneath that's cutting boards and things you need for cooking. It's got all new cookware, all new flatware, all new knives and pots and pans. My wife and I really outfitted it to go cruising anytime we wanted to come down. There's a propane tank sitting there in a t-shirt. And there's another flip out countertop. Looking behind the cabinets here, behind the stove now. big hatch here. There's a cutting board that drops down over top of one of those things too. All in all, really functional, easy to work with galley. And that's partly to do because that galley is a thwart ship, where 90% of the cooking is done at anchor anyways. When you are at sea and heeled over, there's a belt that keeps you strapped in to the galley if you wanted to cook at sea. There's a picture of her in Alaska back in 1984 or so, maybe. Looking right out the port lights. They're at eye level with not too much bulwark in the way, like some classic boats. Really good headroom. I'd say a good 6'5" at its highest point. I'm 5'10" and I can stretch out all over the place in there. It feels great. Moving forward on the port side, we have a bulkhead mounted Dickinson diesel heater and a Pullman berth. It's about twin size there forward where the feet go, with a little storage area. Fresh linens, and up here at the top it gets a little wider to almost a queen, but not quite. The bulkhead heater could be moved a little bit if you wanted. That wall could be turned out if you wanted a little bit more headroom for two people to have a little more space. My wife and I felt it was a little tight, but we were coming from a 50,000-pound boat. There's a sail stored underneath the mattress there in a pocket, and then there's these big cedar pull-out shelves for clothes storage. There's the first one. The second one here has a cockpit table sitting in it, along with some pants. And then underneath there is more storage for sailing stuff. Going forward, you have to access the head through the wizard door, and it's a pretty incredible piece of art. The lady that cruised the boat had a son in Hawaii who is a professional carver, and he made that for this boat, probably out of mahogany. So I plugged in some twinkle lights here so we can see what's going on. The oil lamp's going, trying to light up this area, which is kind of a good, like a wardrobe kind of area. We have a seat here for getting dressed with a little rip in the cushion. Behind here we have some fresh linens, Mexican blankets, and hardcore sailing tackle and 120 volt vacuum. And then this whole area up here used to be like a SSB and a stereo, but it didn't come with the boat, so now it's used as like food storage, and that little pillow is for the tiller. Inside this cabinet there's a shore power connection, and I've plugged in some Christmas lights to light it up in here, but that is a big stainless steel grill, propane grill that you can set outside. There's first aid kit, and this is a hanging locker with some of the electrical components to the electro scan. Underneath there is really well organized stuff that you need to sail a boat with, miscellaneous line and such. Here's a tour of underneath the floor. So there's spare chain inside of that white box, and there's a 100-pound fisherman anchor in the engine compartment. Here we start opening up all the floorboards and taking a look, and basically all you're going to see is a bunch of water tanks. There's 85 gallons of water in two separate tanks that are made out of stainless steel. As we go forward, underneath that is 6,000 pounds of lead ballast. Really important. That was taken into account when the boat was made out of concrete instead of steel, so it's been trimmed properly. And then there is and then the last tank you see here is 80 gallons of diesel and mild steel. Super clean fuel. I've looked at it. Here's the heads floor, which has a bilge pump underneath for when you shower. And here is a freshly rebuilt bronze and porcelain A.B. Sands head. Uh, it's old. It's over 100 years old. Just put new cup leathers in it and rebuilt the valves on it, and you can operate it with your fingers, as you can see there. Total work of art. The funnest, best, coolest head you'll ever have the pleasure of using. It has no holding tank on board, nothing stinky. It uses direct discharge after sending it through the electroscan, which zaps it and kills all the nasty stuff so it can go into the water. It's basically treated sewage at that point. So the big head here serves as kind of like a anchor locker. It's very utilitarian and easy to get around and get sails in and out. When they're all wet and stuff, they don't come down into your V-berth. It's kind of nice. Looking up here, there's a wind scoop that I rig up here in the hatch for ventilation. The sail inventory is plentiful. Jib, a pair of matching Genoas with twin headstays for downwind tradewind sailing. That colorful drifter that you've seen in some of the photos. Going in here to underneath this seat is the first anchor locker. The second anchor locker is up there, and that is an on-demand hot water heater, like a propane one, that could be moved to the engine room, and you could run it off engine heat easy enough. It's just the way she was doing life there towards the end. And here's the galley area. There's that deck prism. You could stand up in this bathroom because of the tall doghouse. It has port lights on the port and starboard side that operate, so you can see out both sides while you're standing there. And then over on the port side of the head, we have hot and cold pressure water and a bronze manual saltwater pump as well. The sink drains into the floor there also, and the shower bilge pump will pump it out when you flip a switch. So the craftsmanship of this boat is perfect. The same owner for the last 40 years has kept it the way the professional designers built it pretty much, so it's really rare to find a boat that has not been molested by multiple owners, changing over the systems and modifying things. And I certainly couldn't even build to this craftsmanship if I was to go and try to modify it at this point. So hopefully you find an owner that loves her just the way she is. Both of the surveys I have of this boat, they were extremely impressed with this boat. One of them wrote, "This is a remarkably beautiful sailing cutter. It is first interesting to note that the hull, both inside and outside, have been given 5 coats of clear epoxy resin sealer, 3 coats of strontium chromate primer, and 2 coats of outside epoxy white. As a result, an untold number of years have been added to the boat." Moxie has sailed to Alaska 7 times, 4 times by way of Hawaii and back to Mexico 11 times. Over 40,000 nautical miles of cruising and 38 years of a single onboard owner who took extremely good care of her. This boat needs very little. For the traditional sailor, it is ready to go. I hope whoever I sell it to is far enough away that I can get a good cruise in her before we have to let her go. Thanks for watching, and here is some video from the day my wife and I got to take her out. I've heard stories about how this boat really cruises along. She won a lot of races in the Baja area, beer can races on the weekends out of La Paz. This boat can scoot. You'll see we're rocking a reef in the main at some point on this day, and she just moves along at 7 knots, just hauling. We're towing a Minto. That's the 9-foot Ranger Minto rowboat with spruce sail kit included, and we think that's the perfect boat. Coincidentally, it's the same dinghy we used with our family of 5 and 2 dogs. Over 5,000 miles, that was the boat we had to get around with. If all 7 of us had to go somewhere and there wasn't room to row, so we had a 2.2 horse air-cooled Honda, weighed 25 pounds, we'd throw on the back to get where we need to go.